Welcome everybody back to yet another tier list. I've been wanting to do this one for, I don't really know, maybe like a week now, maybe more, maybe less, definitely more. Anyways, this is going to be, well, assuming you can read, which the majority of you I would presume can, we're doing intros here, we're doing anime intros. This is combining all of the anime that I've seen together for ranking their openings. We're gonna get straight into this to here today because this one's gonna be pretty long. Well, kinda. The actual video I'm hoping is gonna be shorter than some of my other tier lists because, well, few reasons. However, we have a lot more options to go through because this is not just, including specific anime. And then I'm not including characters because, it has nothing to do with that. And also because there's a couple of new ones on here, which is the most significant detail. I think there's 3 new ones on here. So, let's get straight into the options here. We're starting here at the bottom, okay? Now, let me preface this right away. I'm ranking the openings themselves. That means the music, and that means the visuals in the opening, okay? Which, by the way, I want to say that my rankings here have nothing to do with the quality of the show itself, okay? So that means that you can have something that I think sucks on the top. Not that that is the case. I don't think any of the shows that I listed here, I actually I at least enjoyed them enough to, care. So there's not going to be something that I just outright hate. However, I could more or less dislike a show and it could be on top, while something may be on the bottom and I love the show. Okay, now I don't think there's anything that I hate on here that's going to be on the top, but there's definitely some things that I'm going to like that are close to the bottom. So now that I've prefaced that, let's get straight into these rankings here. Let's take a look at bottom tier here. Needs no words. This is Patrick sleeping, okay? This is Squidward playing the clarinet. That's the opening, okay? Now, of course, this has nothing to do with the visuals, but the opening itself is beyond boring. That's essentially what this tier means. Then we got Uncle Ruckus's theme here, which is a Boondocks reference, which is, the theme is just bad, right? It just, like, maybe the singing's fine, like, maybe there's nothing wrong with that, but the intro is just, it's just trash, right? Then we got Get On With It. This is typically reserved for intros that I skip all the time. Just so you know, I skip the majority of intros and the majority of shows. I watch the intro for the first episode of the season, if there's multiple seasons, and I watch the intro for the last episode. I don't typically watch the intro for most episodes. However, some of the entries in this list that are at the top, I actually did. However, some shows, I'll just outright skip it every time, because it's just, yeah, they're just that boring. So this is Get On With It, which is, like, maybe the theme's not bad, or anything's really bad about it, but it's just, you're just gonna skip it. Then we got I Mean It's Alright, which is reserved for, like, that it's good and everything. Like, they put a lot of time into the intro, right? This is mostly going to be for, like, the animation's great, but maybe the music isn't the best. So this is kind of the middle ground. Then we got New Gorillaz album, which is for intros that are just amazing, right? The theme, the music is fantastic, and the visuals are pretty good or great. And then here we have John Williams' Inspiration. I feel like I don't have to explain who John Williams is, right? But, this is something you'd think he would listen to, that kind of quality. Maybe not that good, okay, let's be real. But anyways, let's get straight into it. We're starting off with a couple of cuckoos. I'm going to put this on, I'll put it on Get On With It. This theme's pretty good. It's not bad. The visuals are pretty good. They're kind of just, it's kind of just bare bones, right? Like, if you hear me saying, oh, it's pretty good, or it's pretty this, that's probably because I don't know what to say about it, which typically indicates that it's in this category. Because if I was negative about it, it would usually be down here, And if I was positive about it, it's going to be at least somewhere up here. So, yeah. All right. Next one, we've got 3D Kanajo. I'm going to put this in... it's close. It's close between New Gorillaz album and I Mean It's Alright. I'll put it here. I'll explain why. So, the theme itself is pretty good, right? Like, the singing's is, yeah, it's professional. The animation, I think, is the best part. I like how everything is shown in the opening. Now, of course, there's 2 seasons of 3D Kanajo, which, another thing I should preface is, this includes everything that I've seen from the show. So for most of these shows, this is including all of their themes. So, like, let's say they have 2 great themes and then 1 mediocre theme, then they're probably going to be still at the top. And then let's say a show has a mediocre theme, a terrible theme, and then a great theme, they're probably going to be somewhere in the middle, right? So it just depends on whether they switched it up mid-season or the next season or whatever. So there's 2 openings for this. Both are great. The opening animation's the best part. The music, it's decent, but it's nothing too special. Alright, next we got Teasing Master Takagi. This is going into Uncle Ruckus's theme. Alright, this is... Look, I skip the intro most of the time. Sometimes, because of where I was watching it, it just had this weird... I remember why. The server had a weird issue where it would buffer all the time. And to prevent it from buffering, you couldn't skip anything or pause it or anything like that. So you just had to let it play sometimes. So I'd have to sit and listen to this thing's theme. And Teasing Master Takagi, there were 3 themes, right? Because 3 seasons, right? I'm not sure if the movie had a theme or not, but either way, the 3 seasons, their themes, the animation was pretty good, right? But it's really just more of the same thing. Like, literally, it's just more of what you're watching, but it's in the intro, right? So it's nothing special. The music, it was kind of... It made my ears bleed. Okay, I'm not gonna mince words. It was bad. Not something I would listen to, right? Like, there's a few themes on this list that I legitimately listen to just because it's that good. Most of the themes on this list, they're just kind of there. All right, next up we got 100 Kanajo, 100 Girlfriends, whatever you want to call it. New Gorillaz album. This show, it's got some pretty good music. But, yeah, this opening, I actually haven't seen the Season 2 opening, because I haven't seen Season 2, because Season 2 isn't dubbed yet, so I'm sorry, guys, I'm a plebeian, but I'm talking about Season 1's intro here. The animation is the best part, it kind of carries it. The music, though, is still pretty good, alright, I'll be honest. It at least surpasses most of the entries on this list, but, I mean, it'll be outclassed by some of them that are also in this tier, but it's pretty good, alright? I mean, yeah. It also foreshadows each of the different people that Rentaro meets, so I think that's plus for actual story meaning. Yeah, there's not much else really to say about it. Alright, next up is Harimia. Look, okay, it's between these 2. I actually don't remember the theme for Harimia all that well, but I also have a bias, so I'm gonna put it in Get On With It instead of Uncle Ruckus's theme, but it'll be lower. Harimia is a great show, but the opening theme, it's not really anything special. The animation, I mean, it's fine, right? Like, it's just more of the animation. By the way, the animation for Harimia is great, but the intro's animation is kind of just... It's the same thing, right? Like, you have to... For animation points here on this tier list, you gotta do something a bit special, right? So for that reason, I'm putting it with Get On With It, since I also skip the intro pretty much every time, so, you know. It's not really anything to gush about. Alright, next up, we have High tier. New Gorillaz album, Quintessential Quintuplets. All right. This show's themes, multiple themes. I actually remember all the show's themes, unlike most of the entries in this list that I had to look up to remind myself what they sounded like. This show's themes, I actually all have by memory. This show itself, amazing. But the themes, even better. Not actually, the show's better, but the music is just, I don't know who sings it, right? I don't know all their names for, each of the singers for the openings on this list. But Quintessential Quintuplets themes are absolutely amazing. Now, I don't remember most of the music for the show, but the openings, just play. I can't really play most of the themes on this list. Actually, I can't play any of them, but for long periods of time because of copyright, obviously. So you kind of just have to take my word for it, or you can preferably just go look it up and check in and see what you think, or you've watched the show and you remember it anyway. But this show's openings really good. I think the season 1 opening is a bit better than season 2's, but they're both great. And they're sang by the same person. And bonus points, by the way, because I own both of the visual novel games for Quintessential Quintuplets. So the opening theme for that is also engraved in my memory. So, yeah. For that reason, it's high up on this list. It's not quite John Williams level, right? But it's probably going to stay the top of this tier here. Also, the animation's amazing. So, yeah. Alright, next up we got Origairu. Now, I know I've crapped on this show a little bit recently, and by a little bit, I mean a lot. But I think I'm going to put it in... it's alright. It's pretty good. The opening for Season 1 is the best. The opening for Season 2 is decent, and the opening for Season 3 makes me want to fall asleep. But because it's kind of that middle ground, I'm going to put it here because overall the themes are great and the animation is really good in the intro. What is there really to be said about it? Well, I know that the intros, it's kind of like Llamas with Hats, where every time an episode ends, it progressively gets more depressing, the theme does, as it goes, and it feels like that, where the Season 1 opening is like your typical anime opening, and oh look, we got all these characters, and here's this fun theme, and then Season 2 is kind of like, it's a bit more deep, it's a bit more, reflective, and then Season 3 is just like straight up depressing, what the hell is going on in the background, everyone stops smiling, it's scary, right? In fact, the opening for Origairu, Season 3, the minute I saw the opening, it indicated to me, I was like, wow, I got bamboozled. I was expecting a good time. I was expecting fun. And then, boom, it gets depressing. Hence why I have the giant text on screen here. Which, by the way, pretty sure this is a thumbnail from a video. But it's fine. Alright, next up we got Kaguya-sama Love is War. I mean, what did you expect, right? I mean, this is the peak anime. Alright, and obviously you should know if you've seen any of my tier lists for anything anime related, you should know Kaguya-sama Love is War is my favorite, probably my favorite anime, just hands down. Either that or it's my second favorite to Death Note. In terms of romance, though, it's my first. All the music in this show is great, but the opening themes, I actually listen to them outside of the show. Like, I'll just put them on. They're on a playlist with other real normal songs, right? Like, 1 minute you'll go from like Shout from Tears for Fears to suddenly Kaguya-sama's intros. Just, yeah. Let's see. Season 1, most people like the Season 1 intro the best. I think it's the second best, but it's amazing. Season 2 has the weakest intro, but it's still great. Season 3, Giri Giri, amazing. I'm sorry, I forgot the name of the singer who sings it. Guy wears sunglasses. He's amazing. I've seen the music video for the Season 3 intro song. It's great. And then Season 3's... Is it the intro or is it the outro? It's literally Starship Troopers. Why? I don't know. It's not even relevant to Kaguya-sama Love's War. It just is. So bonus points for, big reference there. Yeah, it's amazing. Now, funny enough, there's actually one entry on this list that I put above Kaguya-sama Love's War, if you can believe it. Now, of course, like I said, this video, based on the quality of the openings, the songs, animation in the opening, has nothing to do with the show itself. But Kaguya-sama, it's outclassed by one other entry on this list. It'll come later. Anyways, next we got Tonikawa Over the Moon for You. This is going in New Gorillaz album. This intro is peak. It's great, alright? It's such a bop that every time it showed up, every time the intro played in Season 2, I listened to it. Season 1, I skipped it most of the time, but just for the sake of time. But the tune, that fast-paced beat that it goes with, it's great. And I wish more intros and anime were like this. It's just... And in the fast flickers to, a bunch of the characters, it's amazing. And then obviously they've got the moon in the background. That's pretty basic. Yeah, it's great. All right, next thing we got Alia's intro. Should I go with Get On With It? I'll go with Get On With It. It's pretty good. It's nothing amazing, but I mean, you could listen to it. Your ears aren't going to bleed if you sit there and listen to it. I'll put this a little bit higher. I'll put it at the top here. But yeah, there's not really much to be said about it. It's just decent, The animation's the best part of it, though. I will say that. All right, next up, this is going to be the most controversial entry in this list, hands down. We've got Dangers in My Heart. This category had to go to something. You just didn't know what it was going to be. I'm sorry. The intro is boring. I said it, okay? Dangers in My Heart, absolute peak anime. It's great. It's amazing. Absolute beautiful storytelling. The opening, though, oh my god, I actually fell asleep like 7 times listening to it. I mean, is it my fault for watching anime at night a lot of the time? Maybe, okay? But seriously, I have insomnia, and this put me to sleep. How is that even possible? I don't know. Melatonin doesn't work. This works, okay? Which, no, I'm not giving it credit just because it helps out, okay? But seriously, I mean, what is there to say about it? The song, I'm sorry, but it's boring, alright? Now, it's definitely intentional that it's supposed to be, more slow and quiet and emotional, right? I don't think the singer's bad. I don't think the singers in any of these openings are bad. But it's boring. I'm sorry, it is. It's just, there's not much else to be said about it. Alright, next up we got Death Note. I'm putting this in, I'll put it in I Mean It's Alright. Fun fact, actually, I missed most of the Death Note intro whenever it would play. I know there's multiple intros, but I'd miss it most of the time because I had it on auto skip for the intro on what I was watching it on, so I actually missed the intro most of the time, and I would only see like the last 2 seconds of it. So I had to look it up and watch it. Basically, it's mediocre, right? I think the music's good, but it doesn't really feel like it fits Death Note, Like, with the whole tone of Death Note, with the music that's very choir-like when it comes to Kira, and, the very opera-style theme, it just doesn't fit. To suddenly have, like, this heavy metal theme playing in the background. It's just, yeah. Now, of course, this ranking has nothing to do with the overall quality of the music in each show. Otherwise, Death Note would be on top of all of these shows. But for the opening, it's going in alright. Because it's not amazing. Alright, next up, we've got Pokemon XYZ's opening. This is going in New Gorillaz album. This, I actually forgot. I almost forgot this entry on this list, and then remembered that it had one of the best intros to a show I'd ever seen. Okay, it's good. Now, it is a little bit cheesy, or at least I think it's cheesy, right? Like, it's your typical, I'm watching a Pokemon, episode kind of intro. But, oh my god, just look it up right now. Or actually, once the video's over, because it's almost over. It's got that rock, that beat to it, okay? The visuals in the background showing the different Pokemon for the season. It shows, what's-his-face's Mega Charizard X at the end of the intro. And, obviously, it shows Team Flare, right? Team Flare in the background. Overall, peak intro. And it's pretty short, so for the sake of time, it's also practical. It's actually the most practical out of all the intros in this list, so a bonus point for that. All right, next up is going to the best opening on this list, Toradora. Look, I watched Toradora recently, okay? I finished it like 5 weeks ago. Yeah, like 5 weeks ago. Dang, it's already been that long? Okay. Yeah, watched this like 5 weeks ago. There were 2 intros, because there's technically only 1 season, but there's 25 episodes, and the opening switches halfway through the season. Halfway, quote-unquote. Out of the 25 episodes. So about 13 or 14 episodes had the first opening. The first opening is so good. I listened to it right before starting this video, actually. I mean, it's impressive, right? The visuals in the background, they're snappy, fast, fit the music, they're on beat, okay? Everything is very in character, like all the actions in the intro. The theme itself is just, it's got that electronic pop kind of sound to it, which ironically means that it should probably be in New Gorillaz album, but I'm putting it above that because of quality reasons. We'll go with that. It's amazing. Yeah, it's the second intro. It's a bit. It's not as good as the first one, but it's still got because the tonal difference. But the singing is still great, and the visuals in the background are arguably better. So, moving on. But Toradora's got the head seat here. All right, next is the most recent anime that I'm watching. I'm on season 3 now, so I've seen all 3 of the intros. We got Chihaya Furu. I always mess up the last letter. This show is going in New Gorillaz album. Yeah. I'll put it lower. I'll put it a little bit lower in the tier. Here's why. The first intro, absolutely peak, okay? I mean, just that tune at the beginning, okay? Go ahead and play that. It's not too long. Yeah, that tune, it's just, I mean, it's encapsulating. And then they repeat it. And it's in all of the intros, but it's mostly in the first one. And then the visuals in the background, they're very fitting for Karada. And yeah, it really shows like this journey to the top. That's what it feels like. And then opening 2, I'd say it's about the same, right? But the music's slightly different. Opening 3, it's not as good, but it's still got, that good tune to it. So, overall, Chihaya Furu, New Gorillaz album. Alright, last one, we're going My Hero. Look, I know, there's 8 intros, or 7, right? There's 7 intros, and then there's the movie intros. I don't even remember the movie intros. I mean, of course, it has a slight disadvantage, because you can have 2 really good intros and then 5 ones that are boring, and then it's dragged down because of it, because it has the most intros out of any on this list. But still, most of the intros, they're not especially interesting. The visuals are pretty cool in the background because it's My Hero, so obviously. But overall, it's not really that interesting, and I skip it pretty much all the time. So it's not really anything you're gonna sit and listen to. Anyways, take a nice long look. This is what we got. We got 2 at the top here. John Williams' inspiration. Kaguya-sama. I mean, of course you saw that coming. And Toradora, which you probably didn't expect to be past Kaguya-sama. We have 5 in New Gorillaz album tier. We got 3 in the alright tier, so pretty good. Get On With It, we got 3, which is I mean, it's pretty much like the middle ground, right? We got 2 in Uncle Ruckus's theme, which is for themes that are outright painful to listen to sometimes. And then we have 1 here, Danger's in My Heart, I'm sorry, which I think is so obnoxiously boring that I couldn't stand to listen to it if I was held at gunpoint. So, tell me your opinions down in the comments. Please don't grill me if there's something that I'm, incapable of understanding, I guess. However, you've been pretty kind in the comments recently, so I have some good feelings. Please leave a like, a comment, and I'll see you guys all in the next video. I'm not sure what the next one's going to be, but, have a good life. Goodbye.